since closing the hatches between the
Yes, absolutely.
Soyuz craft and the Rossviet module to which it is currently docked. They accomplished a series of leak checks between on either side. Before entering the craft, they were able to say a final farewell to the 3 astronauts and cosmonauts that will remain on board the International Space Station. Here you can see them beginning to egress into their docked Soyuz vehicle. All of the crew currently inside of the Rossviet module right here. You can see NASA astronaut Dr. Tom Marshburn now moving in. The man he's moving past in the striped shirt there is Pavel Vinogradov, a Russian cosmonaut who is remaining on board and will continue his stint as commander of Expedition 36, having taken over command of the International Space Station yesterday from departing commander, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Chris Hadfield. Now giving a final goodbye there and climbing in, you can see Russian cosmonaut Roman Romanenko. He will be in the center seat of the descent module throughout the flight this evening, in charge of all the Soyuz systems throughout the flight. He is the TMA-07M commander, and you will hear him referred to as Parus, his call sign, Parus being the Russian word for sail. He is currently conversing with the flight control team in Koryov, Russia, in the Russian MCC, or Mission Control Center. Again, this taking place a little bit earlier this afternoon. That final hatch closure coming at 2:50 p.m. Central Time. And following that hatch closure, again, they conducted a series of leak checks on either side of the hatch, both in the Rossviet side with Vinogradov remaining on board the station, and Romanenko conducting those checks from the Soyuz side inside of the orbital module. There you can see the hatch being closed between the two, the hatch on the Soyuz craft. Three astronauts loading into the Soyuz craft, departing after spending 144 days on board the International Space Station. The crew arriving in that craft after launching from the Baikonur Cosmodrome back in December. By the time they land a little bit later tonight, they'll have spent 146 days total in space. Each of these astronauts racking up a good deal of time after this long-duration expedition. Amongst them, Soyuz Commander Romanenko clocking in at 334 days after this evening, as he had previously flown on a long-duration spaceflight during Expeditions 20 and 21. Meanwhile, departing Expedition 35 Commander Chris Hadfield will be at a total of 166 days in space. Veteran of 3 space flights now, his 2 previous stints on board space shuttles during STS-74 and STS-100. And finally, Tom Marshburn will be clocking in at 162 days in space, a veteran of 2 missions now, this Expedition 34-35, and also STS-127.